After speaking to Cllr Williams, Alex Williams of Penprisk last time, he told us about the boundary changes and how we know Coity, Litchard, and Pendray will be represented by three councillors uh, at the next election, instead of having an individual councillor. How will that? How does that affect the community council? Does that change? Because for the last few years, the last 10 years, Park Derwin, Tremorcastell, Gathercastell has increased Coity's population to that of Litchard's or even higher, but yet has only got two representatives on the community council.
Yeah, I
Whereas
think.
Litchard has got more than double that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this was in my in both my manifestos. That's it's a posh word for my leaflet, isn't it? But yeah, I mean that's something I highlighted at both times I stood for election. And yeah, Coity had two, Litchard had five, and Penray had four. And I think if you looked at a true balance, I think Coity should have about 45% of the representation now because of all the houses within it. Now, as far as I'm aware, the community boundaries are a matter for BCBC, and now that the borough boundaries are agreed, and we can talk about that in a minute, because I say agreed, I don't think anyone locally particularly agreed with them, but the BCBC can now conduct a community review. I hope they don't follow the Boundary Commission's lead and have a single ward of 11 or thereabouts councillors. I hope that doesn't happen. I would prefer to see three wards, Litchard, Pendray, Coity, albeit with different boundaries, to allow parity. I would prefer that. I think that allows a better connection between those who live in the wards and those who represent them. I think if you've got 11, maybe more, because the ratios are such that St Bright Minor and Garrow, I think I've got 13, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think they've St Bright Minor certainly got 13 with perhaps half the population. So yeah, I think it goes against the grain, but I think we probably do warrant a couple of extra councillors on Coity higher. But I think if you've got 11, 12, 13, all representing one big board, very easy for a couple of them to hide, isn't it? Yeah. Alison and I can't hide when there's only two of us, and that goes back to the borough thing as well. It was possible, and it's a real mystery as to what's going on there. Yeah, reduce the number of councillors in BCBC, that's fine. Arguably BC was overrepresented compared to other councils. No particular issue with that. But what they did in County Hire, I don't understand why. Because when I went to a briefing at the outset, they said that the aim and the ideal situation would be, is it 51 we're dropping to now? Say 51 single ward councillors, yeah? And so you've got a direct link. That person represents these people, and there's no hiding, there's no messing around. It's there, and they either pull their weight or they don't. You can clearly see what's going on, and so I thought that was the direction of travel. They've now concluded that for whatever reason it's too difficult to make three equal wards of Pendray, Litchard, and Coity. I mean, we wrote to them twice. Talking about consultation earlier as community council, we suggested some adjustments to the boundaries that could create parity. They wouldn't have it, and I think we even wrote to the minister as a final attempt to get that. BCBC did, I believe, and I think the individual political party groupings in Bridgend may well have done that. So there you go. I think a 3 councillor ward in for the whole of County Hire. I think if you live in certain parts, you might think that's good, because maybe you're not being well served by your current councillor. I think if you live in other parts, you go, well, yeah, what's that Lizzie so and so over there doing? Because I only see one of mine working hard, and so I think it's a shame we're losing that one-to-one relationship. As I said, I hope BCBC don't follow suit, but we'll see what happens. I'd say that electoral services do seem to be pretty sensible, but let's see. Maybe they'll conclude that it's too difficult, but equally at the same time they're carving a Brackler along random lines. You see, so what they're doing on one hand is saying Brackler isn't right. You've got 4,000 households or 4,200 households with 11 councillors or 4 councillors at BCBC level. We don't think that's right. It's not appropriate. Therefore, we'll carve it up randomly. Yeah, it's random, isn't it? Just to make parity. But yet at the same time, they're creating another Brackler in County Higher. And you know what I said a few minutes ago, that I'm not usually surprised, but well, yeah, I am usually surprised, and this is another one. But it'll work. It'll be made to work, won't it?
Well, but they're doing the exact same thing in Pencoed, as Councillor Williams said. They're lumping all that together. So if Brackler's not working as one lump and you're carving it up, why do it at least 2 more times within the county? It's
important to say, I'm not saying that Brackler doesn't work, but clearly they think it doesn't, otherwise it wouldn't change it, would they?
No.
And it goes completely against what they told us at the very beginning, that the ideal was a single, would be 51 single council awards. Very technical question, this. But I just think it's better. I just think it's better that you have a one-to-one or a one-to-one relationship between councils, councillors and wards. It's better accountability, and
nowhere to hide.
Well, Amanda works very hard. I know the work Amanda does, and people see what they get in. I won't cast any sort of on others in neighbouring places, but it's obvious. Yeah, it's obvious.
And to a community council, it's obvious as well from reports we receive every month.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, Alison and I, if something comes in, I'll say, I'll pick this up, or Alison might pick it up, and when you've got 11, what's going to happen? Are we all fighting over the interesting case and ignoring the hard but unsexy case? You know what I mean? I don't think it's ideal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought I'd be talking about this 5 years ago, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, we can make our representations, we can reply and respond to consultations, but ultimately a decision is made, and we have to live with that, and that's what we're going to do.
So what are your plans for the next election, which is less than a year away now?
That's a lot of time to think about that, isn't there? There's a lot of time to think about that. I hope that, well, it depends. If there's no pavement on Hale Spencer by the next election, as I previously said, I'll put all my energies into changing the administration of BCBC. Simple as that. They haven't. I've seen nothing. I've seen nothing that. Two things, without being too committal. I've seen nothing in my dealings with BCBC that gives me great confidence. I think Alex talked about in bringing in consultants at an early stage.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily start with consultants, but I think the sentiment's the same. I think that we'd have to have 100 days of bring out your dead. You've got 100 days to tell us what's going on here, and then get stuck into the period of change, top to bottom change. Now, whether that's as a councillor or whether that's enabling others to stand as councillors, that's something I've got to decide over the coming months. As for Coity, I really want to continue the good work there, and I want to encourage others. So I will be doing all I can to make sure that we have a thriving, independent-led Coity Higher Community Council after May, and I'll be doing all I can to ensure the same is true in BCBC. So, not quite the answer you wanted, but
no,
yeah.
I was hoping there would be a Kramer versus Kramer situation with you going up against your good lady wife in Coity. That would be good.
I don't like losing. So
no,
I don't like losing.
I don't think you'd stand a chance.
No, I'll be fully supportive of clearly Amanda if she wants to stand. But yeah, I want change in BCBC. BCBC needs change. It needs fresh thinking. It needs to stay. It needs to say no a lot more to some people and yes a lot more to others. And BCBC doesn't, as far as I can see, work for the people it should. Look, I'm sure there'll be whales in it. There'll be whales of upset in Angel Street, but I think there's some real cultural problems there that need to be addressed. And frankly, 25 years it's been in existence. 21 of those has been with the same party, and I make no particular bones or comment on the big political P stuff, but that can't be right. There needs to be fresh thinking. And what I want to do in Coity Hire, I want to make sure that we continue where we left off, but importantly, make sure that it doesn't become stale, and make sure that from May 22 for the next 5 years, there is plenty of new thinking in there too.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important that residents, independent of political party, are making up the bulk of that council, because I think we've proven that can be successful.
Going on,
Am I standing or not? Is that what you said?
yes,
No,
basically.
no. We'll think about that. But whether I am or not, I'll be in the mix. I'll be in the middle. Yeah.
Somewhere. Going off community council at the moment, you spoke earlier about the things you've done in Coity, particularly jamming the castle. Now, for the last 2 years, you haven't really been able to put that on. Will it be returning next year if the pandemic allows?
Discussions started on the weekend. Yeah, discussions started on the weekend. It's something we love doing. None of us are getting any younger, but it's something we love doing. And you know what? Maybe that 2 years break has recharged the batteries a bit. I remember saying to someone, no one in particular, just thin air, I think it was. I said, I think we could do 10. And I think we could do, and we did 10. And then when we did the 10, I thought, oh, we do some more. And then COVID came, and we were all a bit tired after the 10. But yeah, discussions started on the weekend, yeah, I'd love to see it return. But they were when we started it, and then when we formed Coity Festivals a year or two later, there were 8 families. There were 4 families who were very closely involved, who formed that, and we've all got to be of the same mind. So I don't want to bump anyone into it. I don't want to pressure anyone into it. I would love to see it return, and I'm sure we will see something returning at some point.
Maybe some of the newer people to the area, not just Coity but Park Derwin, contacting yourself saying, I want to be involved somehow.
Exactly, that. And it's going to sound flippant, but it's really not meant to sound flippant. Do something yourselves. Because, it goes back to this, we were talking about Anita and I, and, the diversity of thinking and ideas. I mean, what Coity's been really good at is when it's been at its best, there's lots of people doing lots of things. So, if it doesn't happen again, I hope it does, but if it doesn't happen again, well, maybe something new will emerge. And I think that, that'll be really good. You look at Coity, we've got Pride in Coity, which one of the residents does, which is really, the sort of environmental group, pick litter and that sort of thing. Well, that came from left field. If we'd have had a central committee deciding what good ideas, we probably wouldn't have thought of that, So, we're always open to offers of help. But equally, as I said, I don't want to be flippant, but if someone's got a good idea, just go and do it. If they want to hand out to hire the castle, I'll help them out with that. But equally, just go and do it. And that's the beauty of Coity Hire. It really is. I mean, we've just got groups of people who just do stuff, and it's really good, really good. I mean, I can't imagine any other villages or communities who just say, do you know what? Let's have a rock festival or a pop festival, and let's just do that. And then we put it on the map, and people will come from people from London, people from overseas come in, and oh yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, it's just that's why I love this place I live. I mean, it's not my hometown, but it is now. It's fantastic.
And you said if you've got an idea, just do it.
Yeah,
not always as simple as that, because as I know myself, as I'm currently trying to get people involved with helping with, hopefully in maybe next summer, or even as Alex as another councillor suggested, in 2 year time, setting up a Bridgend Youth Olympics. Now, I've got the idea, but how to do it is a different matter to me. I don't know where to start. That's why I've asked, like Councillor Alex Williams. I've asked Amanda, has offered 3 years ago to help, but it all went a bit by the wayside because of my family problems and things like that. Since then, but
we've just got to make it happen, Luke.
yeah, but since the pandemic and with people being shut in, it actually seems a better idea than it did 4 years ago, 5 years ago when I first had the idea. Now, we, as a community as a whole, we've been separated from each other for 12, 18 months nearly. We're just slowly getting back now, but it's still not fully there. And I think something like this, especially geared towards children who had suffered a lot during the pandemic, as a county as a whole, would be good. An Olympics held over a couple of days, so every child who wants to be involved can be involved in some way. It doesn't have to just involve sports. You could do it, somebody reporting social media, children doing the reporting on social media, doing the interviews with the help from people like Bridge FM or something. So it doesn't just focus on the activity side of it, but because I know there's a lot of kids out there who don't like doing sports but like watching it, or
you're almost like a hybrid, not unlike Eisteddfod in some ways, but yeah,
well, it's something they've been doing in Alberta in Canada for the last 40 years, going on 50 years now, and it's just grown and grown and grown. They have a senior Olympics now since then. It started off as a normal Olympics, and they have a youth Olympics and a senior Olympics, or they call it the Alberta Games. And every year, 1 year it's summer, 1 year it's winter. They can do that there. We unfortunately don't have the snow.
Sign me up now. I mean, here we are on camera. Sign me up. I know we've talked about this briefly before. Sign me up. Let's do it, and we'll get your job. Your job is to pull the people together. Yeah. If you pull the right people together, we'll make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it would be good, and it's something that could grow.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Grow, because it doesn't just have to be about that. You can have a fun day. You can have sports clubs advertising themselves down in the things, and any money that's raised can go into the grassroots youth sports, especially with the possibility of pitch fees going up.
Don't start me on that.
I'm not going to get started on that, but what I'm saying is
don't start me on that.
Money can go towards these clubs and that to help.
No, it's a great idea, and it's just the power of positive thinking. Let's do it. Jamley Castle was an idea once, and now it's raised God knows tens of thousands of pounds. So.